Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Field of 68's last call. Do you think that you could take down a black bear?
No, hell no.
I'm going to try.
The first person that's going to die has got to be one of the black guys. So.
Cold cuts, they suck.
Are Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce going to get married?
Hell no.
Here we go. It's last call.
It remains the most definitive thing
John.
anybody has ever said on this show. Randolph Childers just absolutely declarative in saying that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce not going to get married. Buddy, you're on the clock. I mean, you got to be at least sweating a little bit.
About what?
Taylor and Travis. They win the Super Bowl.
Man.
They're still together.
Yeah, all right. Talk to me come training camp.
You're
be lucky if they still together by the draft.
You won't even give us
All I
that
gotta
much.
say is, guys, all I gotta say is if they ever do break up, the album that we're gonna get from Taylor Swift is going to set records. All right. It's going to be the most downloaded, the most listened to album in the history of music.
Listen, if I'm the NFL, I'm fixing an arranged marriage or something. Be like, look, she good for the ratings, man. Y'all figure this out.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely. That's one we're watching. We're keeping tabs on that one. Welcome into Last Call here on Stadium as part of the Field of 68 Media Network. I'm John Martin, joined tonight by Randolph Childers and Rob Dosser. This is, of course, the show where you guys ask us questions and we answer those questions. And as you guys can tell, anything and everything is fair game. So let's get it started tonight with a question from Andrew. Everybody, I think, can answer this. It wasn't directed at anybody in particular. We'll start with you, RC. Is Jamal Shead a top 5 point guard in the United States of America?
Yes, and I think he is top 2 as far as two-way. I think he's just as good as he is on the offensive end of the floor. I think he is defensively, sets the tone, and not a lot of guys do that. And I think he and Reese Beekman are as good as any point guard in the country, and two-way guard, playing on both sides of the ball. So, yes, he is.
I'm trying to run the numbers in my head right now and just, think of who the point guards are. Like, I think Mark Sears is in that conversation. Tyler Kolek's in that conversation. Tristan Newton's in that conversation. There's a lot of good point guards in college basketball this year. Isaiah Stevens in that conversation. I probably would have Jamal Shead top 5. I don't know if it's the worst take in the world to have him outside the top 5. Probably is to have him outside the top 10. But I don't think I would argue with anybody that has this dude like top 2, top 3. You could probably make a pretty strong case that he's the number 1 point guard in college basketball if you really wanted to.
Yeah, he's just been doing it for so long, right? I mean, he's been there
Well,
forever.
that and they're not a team that scores a lot, so it's never sexy with them, right? I mean, they're never going to get style points. I think that's where it hurts him because they can at times make you play an ugly style of basketball because they're tough, they're physical, and it's just not pretty, and the numbers won't be gaudy.
Right. All
right.
right.
What do they say about point guards, right? Point guards is about win or loss records. It's about how many games
like quarterbacks, baby.
Yeah, it's like quarterbacks. And Jamal Shead, look at how many games he's won in his career at Houston. How far they've gone to the tournament since he's been there. That says a lot about this dude.
I was in the building with my then 2-year-old and my wife last spring when he hit the game winner against Memphis, and like just the way that he sucked the air out of the building, that's legendary, man. Like, you got to be built different to go on the road in a hostile environment like that and hit a shot like that and take a shot like that. So I don't know. I mean, you went through the list. I mean, it's pretty competitive. You look around the country, but I just think for the combination of winning and the experience there, I probably put him in. All right. This is from Jacob. If Creighton wins tomorrow night, does that put them in the top 16? I assume he's talking about the NCAA tournament there. Does that put them in the top 16 in terms of seeding, Rob?
I mean, I think it probably gets them pretty close. We have them as a number 4 seed already. on our Fielding the 68 bracket, and I will put our Fielding the 68 bracket up against anybody that was as of about 6 hours ago. That show goes live at 5:30 on Monday afternoons if you are watching this and you want to get your bracketology fix. But yeah, I mean, look, like Creighton's got a they've beaten Marquette. You add a win to UConn into that mix, and it becomes a completely different story. You know, the first team to beat UConn since December 20th is something that is noteworthy. The win over Alabama too at home is something that I think is should not be overlooked. But we already have them as a top 16 seed. So a win over UConn. The better question is, can that get them up to the 3 seed line? To me.
Randolph,
Yeah, if they beat UConn, they're definitely going to get a top 4 seed. I can't imagine unless they just collapse to finish the season. But yeah, if they beat UConn and as dominant as UConn has been, I think they're definitely a top 4 seed.
They're playing much better basketball too lately. I mean, I was very disappointed with them the first 2 months of the year. Very inconsistent. And, you know, Ashworth, it feels like, is really settling in. And they can just keep going to Kalkbrenner there in the post. So it feels like to me that they're sort of hitting a stride here. I don't know if they win tomorrow. I don't think they do win tomorrow. But I just think, generally speaking, you know, I wouldn't be shocked again if they're in the Elite Eight.
Look, their issues are their issues, John. They got 4 dudes, right? Like they got 4 dudes, and their 4 dudes are as good as any top 4 that you're going to find in the sport. Point blank, period. Like Ryan Kalkbrenner is right there with Donovan Clingan when it comes to the best defensive. He's probably a better defensive center than Donovan Clingan is, right? And he can put up 30 points a game. Like he is.
He can.
No, we don't talk enough about how good Ryan Kalkbrenner is at the 5. Baylor Shireman's been awesome all season long, but especially for like the last 3 weeks. He had a triple-double 2 weeks ago. He's just a fantastic player. Trey Alexander kind of is what he is at the point, but for what he is going to be a guy that is like a top 20 player in the Big East, right? And then Stephen Ashworth is a shot maker that took a little time to adjust to the length and athleticism that you find in the Big East, but he's still a damn good player, right? Like their top 4 is really, really good. They need to find the 5th. They haven't found the 5th yet, and that's what Kansas did. And then everybody got hurt.
That's got to be. I think that's got to be Mason Miller, because you know he's 6'9", can shoot the ball. You know, it just feels like to me that's got to be the guy. If we're talking about a Final Four type of run. Like who's the most likely candidate? I definitely feel like it's him. He's got the NBA bloodline there as well, so sort of does feel like it's going to be him. All right, this one's from Michael. What is up with teams winning the game after their coach is fired?
Shit, they happy he's gone. Let's just call it what it is.
It's that simple.
Let's call it what it is, man. They happy he's gone. It's like, damn, he's out of here. No, seriously, I think a lot of times what happens, people, you know, depending on how that coach runs his staff, if the assistants have the best relationships a lot of times. So when assistant takes over, you see them playing really hard for that person because a lot of times that's the person that recruited them and they have the best relationship with them. So you see that quite a bit. And I think we've seen some of that, like in Charlotte. We're talking about, you know, situation there. Well, look how their season just flipped now. And so it happens more times than you think. And, you know, a lot of times these assistants have these great relationships and when they're, you know, take that one seat over, they slide over when the players rally around them because they want to win for that guy as well.
Yeah, well, just think about how much we talk about all the buzzwords in college basketball, right? Culture, continuity. You know, where you build that community in your locker room, where you're fighting for your brothers. It's a family. It's not just a team. All that's the cliche stuff that we throw out there. And I'm not speaking specifically about Ohio State because I don't know enough about the details to speak specifically about Ohio State. But a lot of times, if a guy is going to be fired in the middle of the season, there's something that is broken in that locker room, right? And now you bring in an assistant coach who, like Randolph said, has a better relationship. Then all of a sudden, those dudes are playing hard and playing better. And now I am going to talk specifically about Ohio State. Bruce Thornton, Roddy Gale, Jamison Battle. That's as good of a top 3 as you're going to find, like outside of Purdue in the Big Ten, right? And probably Illinois as well. But that top 3 is good enough to be able to get Ohio State to the NCAA tournament in the right situation, right? There's a reason why this group was 12-2. And it's not because, you know, it's because they got the talent on that roster. So being able to kind of get back to being to the point where you're playing your balls off and you're playing for each other and you're fighting and everybody in the locker room is going in the same direction, that means a lot for winning games as a team. It just does. And that's a perfect example of why.
Yeah. All right. We got a lot more to get to, including who we'd want to grab a beer with in college basketball. Lots more to come here on Last Call on Stadium. We'll be back after this. All right, welcome back to Last Call. We are here on Stadium, going to be with you here for another 20 minutes or so. So if you have some questions, let us know in the chat. All right, Rob, you have $500 to put on one college basketball bet, any kind right now. What is it from Graham?
$500 risk free. You got to go something crazy, right? Like you got to take something a long shot. You got to take something where if it hits, you can end up making quite a bit of money. And I think one of the things that I would look to, I kind of hinted at this earlier. Do you off the top of your head, John, have what the futures are for Illinois to win a national title? I looked a couple weeks ago and I think it was plus 3,000. I don't know if it's still plus 3,000, but if you can get Illinois at plus 3,000 right now, yeah, if you could get Illinois at plus 3,000, that's 30-1 odds, which basically means if you bet $500 on that, I'm doing the math in my head, I believe you would win $15,000. 500 at 30-1 odds is $15,000. So that's what I would be doing. That's what I would be doing. Math in my head on the fly, and I knew what the odds were like this. Is that bad?
Man.
That might mean I have a problem.
Nah, nobody does math when they're out of school.
That's impressive. Yeah. If I had $500 to put on a bet, I would bet tomorrow I'm taking Creighton to get the dub and end the 14-game winning streak against the Huskies. It's got to happen, man, at some point. They won 14 in a row. They hadn't lost in 2024, man. So I'm telling you, I would take all my money. It's just time.
I would go Wake Forest to make the tournament. That's what I would do. Just that's in honor of you, RC. I don't even know if I believe it, but I'm gonna do it for you. In all seriousness, I would say I would go like I'm sitting here looking at FAU 60-1 to win. They were in the Final Four last year. They were a shot away from going to the national championship game. I know they're weird as hell and they're wacky and they don't probably beat enough teams that they should, but it's the same team that did it a year ago. They're experienced, like I could see them kind of turning it on. Like once we get out of the NBA regular season, we get to the playoffs. Just saying, I think there's worse bets you can make.
I got something for you. I got something for you guys on this. And I know they just lost 2 in a row. And they lost at Duke by 8, and they lost at Virginia by 2 in one of the ugliest basketball games that has been played in the history of basketball. I kind of feel like this Wake Forest is Miami of last year. right? Is that crazy to say? Like they got a bunch of dudes that are shot makers. They got a bunch of dudes that can score. They can space you out. They can put up a whole bunch of points when they want to be able to put up a whole bunch of points. I just feel like this is a dangerous team if they find a way to get in the field as a 10 seed. I would not be shocked to see them in the Sweet 16. Randolph, is that crazy to think? I mean, you watch the team more than I do.
I have their game tomorrow night against Pitt, and they can be scary. But like you just said, they're the same team that scored 47 points against the UVA team that we saw just get destroyed just a minute ago. So they haven't shown the ability to win away from the Joel, and they're going to need to do that. They got a big week coming up. They got Pitt coming in, and they got Duke at home, and they need to get these to try to boost their resume. They got, like I said, it starts tomorrow. They got a big. They need both, because if they lose to Pitt, Pitt will sweep them the series, and it'll be tough. And Pitt already has the win in Cameron, so I think tomorrow is a really big game for the Deeks if they want to try to get in the tournament.
For everybody listening at home, like, you should be rooting for Wake Forest. They got a dude named Boopy Miller.
Yeah.
We want a Boopy Miller in the NCAA tournament. You need a Boopy Miller in the NCAA tournament. There's never been a better player to want to root for than Boopy Miller. His name is, they call him Boopy Miller. We got to get this guy to the dance, man. Help me out with this. We got to be on this bandwagon. Let's get it done.
Got to do it. Okay. From Brady, Rob, what college basketball player would you most want to just grab a beer with?
Like, honestly, none of them. These are all like 19 and 20-year-olds. I'm 38.
No, they're not. They're all like 30.
I'm way too old to be hanging out with these like 22-year-olds.
This is not 2006.
Hey. Hunter Dickinson seems like he's old as hell. Like, he might be like a 40. No, you know what? It's Cam Spencer. Cam Spencer may be 23. He's a fifth-year senior, but that dude at heart is a 43-year-old father of three that just got finished playing his second men's league game of the day. Right, like that. He's me at his heart. Right, so give me Cam Spencer, and we'll hang out, and then we can yell at the TV screen on some bets that we make or something. But yeah, Cam Spencer's probably the guy. I'm too old to be hanging out with these dudes.
I ain't hanging out anyway, but if I had to pick one, it'd be, I'd say Hunter Dickinson. He'd be the guy I'd want to hang out with.
I would say, because I kind of want to have like a night. So me and Caleb Love are going out. I feel like some shit's gonna happen.
Oh man!
Like, if we're gonna do it, like it's, who knows? Like, it honestly, anything can happen. So I would say, plus he's got like some. I want to know like what really went down at Carolina, bro. Like what, what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's got some stories. I bet he's got some stories.
Yeah, like what's the tea?
Who would it be? Who would it be if it was a coach? Who would it be as a coach? What coach would you want to have a drink with?
Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, you probably want to go out with Armando Bacot in Chapel Hill, because they had such a good night after they beat Duke that they ended up losing 3 of their next 6 games. Like, it might have torpedoed their chances of winning the ACC regular season title. That's a hell of a good night. They've been hungover 3 weeks. That's a hell of a night. I want to go. I want to experience a night like that. That's what I want.
That's an interesting one, though. There's so many coaches that I feel like would be great. Like, it just depends on what kind of night you want to have. You know what I mean?
I'll go easy. I'll go, because easily for me, it's Rick Pitino.
Well, okay, for a couple reasons. One, you're going to get some good stories. 2, if you go out with Rick Pitino, one, you're not having a beer. Like, you're having like.
Oh, we get some wine. We getting wine. That's what I'm saying. We get
most
some
expensive
good
bottle of wine on the
wine.
menu.
Oh.
And you're going to a place that nobody else can get into. Like, you're going to one of these like exclusive.
We're sitting in the back room. I want my steak medium rare with some maybe a side of asparagus and a good bottle of wine. Let's go.
You're not going out for Rick Pitino for like the company. You're going out with Rick Pitino for the access and where you can get into, because that man is Rick Pitino. That's
in New York. Oh,
in New York. Yeah. You're gonna be sitting in there as John Gotti's gonna stroll in.
Easy.
Yeah, that was Randolph. You really tested my Christianity, man. I mean, you really did. Like there were so many, you know what I'm saying, that I would normally take, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it because it's just not.
Hey,
It's so obvious and so easy. But yeah, I don't know. I got to think about
John,
that.
real quick, John. If what you had, if what you were sipping on wasn't a bottle of water and it was whatever you normally have in that Stanley, with the ice shaking around, clinking around. If we
100%.
had that for your beverage instead of the bottle of water, we might have gotten a little bit of a better
No
joke.
doubt. You guys are lucky. I'm on I have 2 kids now, so I'm trying to be a good boy. I'm trying to get off the alcohol. We'll come back, wrap this up. Last call. Stick around. All right, welcome back to Last Call here on Stadium for the next 10 minutes or so. I'm John Martin here tonight with Rob Doster, Randolph Childress, answering any and all questions that you may have for us in the chat. Let's get it going with Kevin. Rob, if the NCAA tournament expands, are you going to change the network name?
Let's just say I am squatting on a couple of accounts that we've heard may or may not be what that number ends up being, which sucks. Can we just not expand the tournament? Like, can we just not? Can we just not do that? Like, why do we need to do that?
There needs to be some exclusivity to this damn thing. Why are we playing a regular season if there's not?
Brett Yormark, like you said that the best teams aren't competing for the national title, right? Like, who do you want in there? What team do we want in there? Right? Do we need Georgetown and DePaul in there because they might be a little bit better than some of the teams like the 7 seed and the MEAC that somehow went on a miracle run and found a way to get an automatic bid as like the 16 seed that plays in the playing game? I mean, do we need that? Do we really need Georgetown to find a way to get into the NCAA tournament? No, we don't. Okay. Do we need DePaul in the tournament? No, we don't. We don't need these teams that won 4 games in their conference from the high major leagues in the NCAA tournament. You know what the biggest, we go back and look at it, right? All of the biggest audiences when it comes to college basketball games are the games that involve the one bids that make a deep run, right? The St. Peters of the world, right? The FDUs of the world. Go back and look at the numbers. Go back and look at who is tuning in to watch. Go back and look at what those audiences are. They're not tuning in to see a game that would be the 4-5 in the NIT because no one gives a shit about it, right? Like we already see that, like all these games, there's a reason why these games between the 8 seed and the 12 or the number 8 team and the number 12 team in the Big 12 end up on ESPN Plus and the Big 12 network, whatever the hell that is. We don't need them there. If you want to make the NCAA tournament, go out and win more than 7 games in your conference. You're the Big 12. Teams that are 8 and 12 get in every damn year for you guys. What are we doing here, man? I feel like, you know what pisses me off about it the most, guys? All of the people that make the decisions on college sports, and this is also true for college football as well, they're not fucking fans of the sport. It's not the people that actually want to watch this stuff. They're the guys that make the
Right.
decisions. It means they're going to get a little bit more dividend. They're going to get a little bit more money. There's going to be a little bit
That's
more
right.
money coming in to all of these universities that already have billion-dollar endowments. Like, what the hell does it
Right.
matter if you get an extra $500,000, extra $1 million here, extra $1 million there, sitting on 3 commas in your bank account at the university? The people that make these decisions don't actually watch the sport. They're not the ones that are sitting there at noon on Thursday, day one of the NCAA tournament, watching every single damn game. They're not the ones on Tuesday at 11:30 setting all of their DVRs so they're able to watch all of those ACC tournament games, the 9-16 games, right? They're not the ones. They're not the people that actually like the sports. We just care about money, man. And sometimes I feel like you need people that actually love the sport itself to have some voice and have some decision making in this process. It's so frustrating, and it's probably going to end up expanding. And it's just something where we're going to be sitting here like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Why are we doing this? We don't need more of these shitty teams in the NCAA tournament. Sorry for cursing, Stadium.
Randolph, do you have an opinion on that?
Coming after that, man, I'm ready to go upstairs and go to bed, man. I don't even know. I felt like Rob yelled at me, man. I felt like one of Rob's kids. Like,
Yeah, Rob put you on punishment, man.
Yeah, like I'm in timeout or something. You know what? I don't want to see a lot of bad teams in, but if you're going to do it, I'm curious as to how, because I think it's just too much money, and they're eventually going to do something to it because of the money that's being
I have
made.
an idea. I have an idea for how to expand this. Okay, do you guys want to hear what I got?
Go ahead, but shoot.
So if you expand it, there's 2 options. You go to 76 teams or you go to 92 teams, right? You make sure that the mid-major regular season champions also have access to the NCAA tournament, whatever number it ends
That's
up
what I was getting ready to say, Rob.
Yeah, and you set yourself up so that the last, let's just say 76, right? The last 16 at-larges play each other, and you set up 4 4-team tournaments at like the Palestra, at Fog Allen, in Dayton, like whatever the places are.
Let that be your date to play in.
Yes. So on Tuesday and Wednesday, you have 4 sites that have 4-team tournaments, and you play 2 games on the Tuesday, 1 game on the Wednesday, and the winner of that Wednesday game automatically is like an 11 seed or a 12 seed or whatever it is, and they get slotted into the tournament, and then they end up playing that Friday. If you're going to do it, if you're going to expand it that way. Don't put more of these shitty at-large teams directly into the field and go to like 128. If it goes to 128, I might be done.
There's just no point playing a season at that point. I mean, 1/3 of the damn country's in the tournament. So
hell, just take the NIT and combine it. If you're going to do that, just take the NIT and combine it.
Anyway, appreciate all the questions tonight. It's been a fun night here on Last Call on Stadium. Look at that, so sweet. They're in spirit, man. They're in spirit. It's going to do it for us. For Rob Doster, for Randolph Childress, I'm John Martin. Thanks for making us a part of your Monday here on Stadium. Catch you tomorrow.